Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
Number 16 on the 49ers Rush roster countdown. Let's just be very, very honest and forthcoming. By far one of my favorite players in the 49ers. By far one of my favorite players in the 49ers and the NFL in general. One, I'm a linebacker by heart. Coached linebackers before I was a DC, before I was a head coach. Love linebackers. Played linebacker. A lot of my favorite players in the NFL. Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis, right? Like, I love linebackers, and I love Dre Greenlaw. On and off the field, complete player and human that has overcome a ridiculous amount to get to where he is. Foster care to, now turning around and using his platform to help other foster kids, which is huge for me. Again, we are foster adoptive parents, my wife and I, and like, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And it's kind of awesome. I'm recording this. My son turned 19 years old today, our oldest son, which is awesome. And their favorite player a lot of times is Dre Greenlaw. Whenever we talk about him, like, they love this guy. I love this guy. So who is he? What's his journey? What has it been like for him to get to where he is this year? A contract year? Will he be with the 49ers long term? That's in question. But what isn't in question is what he has accomplished for the 49ers. So as we talk, why not? Let's throw up some freaking highlights, baby. Number 5'7", you see him, 57. He is a tackling machine. You could very easily say the best tackling linebacker in the NFL. I've said it several times. In fact, I went back and went through all of his tackle rates and missed tackle percentages and all those things. Turns out third best in the NFL over the course of his career. You could look at Dre Greenlaw's rookie year, finished second in the NFL with best tackle rates, ahead of names like Bobby Wagner, Fred Warner, Luke Kuechly, Darius Leonard, all these different guys, and they are great, great players. He tackled better than all of them. So 6 foot, 230 pounds. He's 25 years old. Good old number 5'7". Which, man, you look at the 49ers linebacking core, let's step back from Dre for a second. Azeez is 24. Dre Greenlaw is 25. Fred Warner's 25. By far the best linebacking core in the NFL. If you're just looking at depth, if you're talking about the three that the 49ers have is better than the three anybody else has. Period. It doesn't matter. Now, the problem is, Fred's going to be here long term. Azeez, last year of his contract. Greenlaw, last year of his contract. I think they want to keep one. I don't think there's any way they can keep both. It's just, as much as I want it to continue with this group, I think it is a misallocation of funds. Even though greedily I want to keep these three studs, I just don't see it. And if you look at the 49ers and what they did with undrafted free agents this year, a lot of undrafted free agent linebackers that they are hoping can kind of fill that void after a full year of, grooming on the practice squad. Jeremiah Gimmel, you got Sagan Olubi, Marciano Ball. Like, there's just a lot of guys that they're hoping somebody pans out there. Now, if we go to what Dre Greenlaw went through, since he was 8 years old, he started bouncing around group homes and shelters all over Arkansas. 6 years later, so from 8 to really 14, he lived in group homes, foster homes, bouncing around. And whenever he was 14 years old, he met Brian Early, who was the defensive coach at Fayetteville High School, which is where he was playing. Greenlaw was getting treatment one day for an injury he had in practice, talking with his coach. And after the coach basically learned of Dre's situation, he and his wife, Nancy Early, started spending time with him and kind of, took him under their wing, whatever, and started building this relationship outside of football with Dre Greenlaw. When they were informed that the group home was going to be shut down, they invite Dre to live with them and their two younger daughters, AJ and Cameron. And since then, it was family. The quote from Brian is this: even though it wasn't legal until July of Greenlaw turning 21, he's always been my son. He's felt the same way. We're mom and dad to him. It's a special relationship. So, be it 8 to 14 living in a group home, to finally getting brought into, these caring, empathetic coaches home, and being adopted into that family, just absolutely incredible, and very, very proud of what he's been able to accomplish. Now, in 2019, his rookie year, he had the opportunity, the My Cause, My Cleats, if you remember that year, he put something out to raise awareness and funding for foster kids, the Bill Wilson Center, and the quote from Dre Greenlaw, "I play for foster youth like me," end quote, which is incredible. And it's a huge cause. There's over 400,000 kids in the United States right now in foster care. Right now, almost 500,000 children don't have a permanent place to call home, and we are one of the richest countries in the history of mankind. Yet we don't take care of our own children, which breaks my freaking heart. And if you've never seen what group homes are like, they're not good. They are very, very bad. Are there some good group homes out there? I'm sure there are. But for every one good group home, there are several very bad ones. Foster care is not a long-term answer for children. They need homes. They need to be cared for. Anyway, back to Dre Greenlaw on the field and what he was able to accomplish. Went to Fayetteville Public Schools and all those things. He won the 7A 2011 state championship for his school. Was a super sophomore in 2012. He played cornerback, actually, his sophomore year. Then he transitions to safety before finally getting to linebacker. And, if you look at just kind of what he was able to accomplish, track and field, he was huge in that. He got offered from Georgia, Washington State, chose to stay and play in Arkansas. And, he came out as a 3-star recruit by Rivals, ESPN, Scout, 24/7 Sports, all those. He was a tweener. Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? What is he? Well, he was able to add weight and maintain kind of really all of his play speed, which he plays very, very quick. So he goes to Arkansas in 2015, played in 13 games as a rookie, and started 11 in the SEC, started 11 games as a true freshman, averaged 9.8 tackles in SEC road games, just was all over the freaking place, and won so many awards his freshman year. SEC Freshman of the Week twice, the only player in the SEC to win it twice. All-Freshman Team 2015. First team All-Freshman Team for the entire country. SEC Defensive Freshman of the Year. Freshman All-American. He got a lot of recognition and awards that freshman year. 2016 sophomore year, started 7 games. He had a foot injury against Alabama, missed the final 6 regular season contests, which kind of struggled and kind of, caused some issues. 2017 stepped in, started 12 games at will linebacker, and that's where he was going to stay. Racked up over 100 tackles and just was great. Goes into a senior year and just picked up right where he left off. Now, if you look at, he just finished, I think, number 11 overall for most tackles ever for a Razorback. Highly productive and just all over the place. Had 159 solo tackles in his career with another 162 assisted tackles. 13 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions. The dude freaking played and was elected a team captain. Now comes the NFL, right? So he goes in and tests, runs a 4.73. Not great, 40 for his time. I really think that he plays a lot faster than that. Now, do I think he's as fast as Fred or Aziz? I do not. But he arrives with very, very bad intentions. 3-cone 7.2, 33-inch vertical, 24 reps on the bench press. And, one of my favorite things about Dre Greenlaw, as was stated by freaking Kyle Shanahan this year, was, guess what? It's Mike Tyson with the uniform. He shows up, he kills people. That's just what he does. And, the way that we got him, this is probably one of my favorite things about this story. Amazing, very clever trade. The 49ers traded their, They traded Dakota Watson, who was a back-end edge rusher, and a 2019 6th-rounder. So Watson in a 6th for a 5th-rounder. They jumped from 212 all the way up to 148, and that's how they got Greenlaw, basically for free. Incredible. I want more trades like that this year. I really hope they trade some of those back-end D-line guys to package picks up and move up. The 49ers got a lot of picks moving forward. And so I want to see more of that. In 2019, he was named the 49ers Thomas Heroin Memorial Award, which was established in 2005 by the York family. Basically what that is the recipient has taken advantage of every opportunity and turned it into a positive situation in their life. So just talking about overcoming different things, incredible. And again, in 2019, he got to speak to a crowd of 30 Santa Clara foster kids, youth who recently graduated with their high school diploma, GED, or program certificates, things like that. Just talking about how he's overcome, and it's just the beginning, because that's the hard thing. A lot of people don't understand, like, if you are part of the foster program after age 5, the percentage of people who will graduate high school or college, it's less than 5%. Because it's just too difficult. It's too much to overcome a lot of times. So whenever you get stories of people like Dre and then spreading that information to other people going through these things, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. Now, if we look at what he's kind of accomplished, he's played really, really well. 24 starts, 32 games played in his 3 years with the 49ers. And golly, man, 167 career tackles. And again, just to solidify how good of a tackler he is, he's had 13 missed tackles in his entire career. That's a 5.6 missed tackle percentage. It's third best in the NFL during the time he's been in. 80 solo stops. Just incredible. So, like, if you look at just the other linebackers, Fred Warner has an 11.1 missed tackle rate. Azeez 13.8. Not that those are bad. I'm not trying to say those are bad at all. But whenever you look at a 5.6 for Greenlaw, it's bananas, man. Now, he did have some injury history. In 2020, he got a leg quad bruise, missed 2 games. That was week 2. That was that Jets game where everybody got hurt. Bosa, Solomon, quad bruise here, just was bad. He missed 2 games there. That was it for 2019 and 2020. That's the only injury he had those 2 years. Last year, the groin. Strained his groin in September, missed 9 games, comes back, his very first game back, re-aggravated it, missed another 5 games, and then once he finally got cleared, stepped right back into the starting role. They inserted him over Azeez, and he started every single game and dominated the snaps until he had a calf strain in the NFC Championship, and that's when Azeez came in the second half. But I think it's important to talk about when we're looking at who the 49ers like, they love these guys. Azeez and Dre Greenlaw would be starting linebackers for 30 teams in the NFL. Unfortunately, 2 of those teams, right? You talk about the 49ers. I'm not sure another team off the top of my head that has 3 stud linebackers like this. Somebody's got to be the odd man out. In today's NFL, the 4-2-5 with 2 linebackers out there is run over 70% of the time. So that means Azeez or Dre has to sit. And I know a lot of people like Azeez. I love Azeez, but that they prefer him over Greenlaw. The 49ers coaching staff does not. Azeez will be the number 3 linebacker, but, and this is kind of the difference, is that I think that the 49ers coaching staff loves Greenlaw at the will spot. The will linebacker spot, weak side linebacker, right? So that, let's just say hypothetically, Fred Warner got hurt. Azeez would take over the Mike role. You would keep Dre at the will spot. And so it's not so much, they have different skill sets, and they're a little bit different. Now, I'd be remiss if I did a whole podcast about Dre Greenlaw and didn't talk about him being the CEO of Seattle, baby. You go back to that 2019 Super Bowl run, 2 of the most paramount plays of the season were against Seattle, and they were both Dre Greenlaw. The first time we played Seattle at home that year, he got that key interception in overtime and returned it 50-plus yards to beat Seattle, and Chase McLaughlin, the kicker that was stepped in for our injured kicker, just shanked it, the 47-yarder that went outside. We ended up losing that game. Then you go to Week 17, in my opinion, the best win in the Kyle Shanahan era. You lost, I think it was 13 out of 14 games at that point to Seattle, and he goes in and makes that stop. Just boom, ice cold on the goal line. One of the best plays you will ever see in football. And it was just a walk-off tackle as time expired. Incredible. Assured the 49ers the 1 seed instead of the 5. It was awesome. So what's going to happen this year? I expect him and Azeez to completely ball out. One of them is going to play themselves out of a contract for the 49ers, sadly. There's a small chance both are gone, which would break my freaking heart. But for Azeez or Greenlaw, this will be the last year with the 49ers. They just cannot sign everybody. There's no way, no matter how much I want them to. And most likely, one or both will be gone, and you'll be receiving compensation picks the following year for those players leaving. But I love Dre. I fully expect him to be with the ones. With Fred Warner starting Mike, you've got Dre Greenlaw starting Will, and you've got Azeez coming up as the number 3 or filling in if anybody gets hurt. And man, that is such a luxury to have in today's NFL. 3 amazing linebackers that you can trust and be just fine with those guys out there. Want to say thank you to good friends, Anthony, Josh. Incredible research. Hopefully you love this story about Dre Greenlaw. It's just so impressive what they did. So thank you to Anthony and Josh, executive producers of this series. And man, we're just going to keep counting them down.